I'm really regardless to having their support and how we do this partnership and stuff with the podcast moving forward.
Mhm. Okay, so this is really bad, but apparently there was no audio up until now. Oh God.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the danger of live streams. Yeah, it said, so I looked in OBS, it said device not connected. I just re-enabled them. So people should be able to hear us now. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ross. That's my friend Ross in chat. He saved us there.
Really? Oops.
Uh-huh. Well, we kind of have to re-say everything we just said. Could you not? Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
anybody could hear anything the entire stream so far. So at least we didn't get too far.
Whoops. All right. Let us
Well,
know if you can hear us. So.
yeah, I think they can hear
Apparently-
us. Yep.
oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so
Whoops.
welcome everybody to the holiday live stream. Um, so yeah, we had some audio issues, but we're here now. And yeah, it's gonna be a great night. We're gonna go over some recent photos or some of our favorite photos of the year. We're going to be talking with Noah Buchanan from Hunt's Photo and Video. He's gonna be coming on, doing a special gift card giveaway, and just answering any questions you may have. So you can go ahead and type those in the chat if you guys have any, and we'll just be hanging out. So welcome.
Welcome, everyone. I just restart what I was saying in the past 10 minutes, but so I just want to say thank you to everyone for listening, all the regular listeners, all the guests that we had on. It's been a great year overall, I think, for the show because when Henry and I both started this last year, it was mainly just like a pandemic project. We were just doing it to, pass the time. And, this is something that we both love talking about, of course, and doing, but it was mainly for the fun of it. And now we're really growing the show and just, doing more and more of it, which, for both of us, it's really become a big commitment. But, we're both approaching it, head first and really doubling down on it and just doing more of it, I guess. And so keep
Mm-hmm.
doing what we love here. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for listening, of course. And all the past guests, everyone in the future that we might have on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're pretty open to having anyone on as is. I mean, like as long as you do outdoor photography, like you're pretty much set.
Yeah.
You know. So
Um, yeah, even like outdoor portraits, urban stuff, anything like that too. We'd be glad to cover that. Just as long as it's kind of naturey, you know. So, um,
nature, yeah,
yeah,
outdoors.
I know we have a great guest next week, next Tuesday, Bayou Josh. Some of you bird photographers have probably heard of him. He has a great YouTube channel. He does some great photos. And it was one of my favorite episodes, honestly. He's takes a very cool approach to it, and that'll be out next week. So look out for that.
And that's probably gonna be. I think that's our last episode of the year, right, Henry?
Yeah, and I think we're gonna take about a 1 week break. But that week that we're taking off, Ryan and I are actually gonna be shooting together for the first time in person. We've never met. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, we're gonna be shooting, maybe recording some stuff as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be a
Mhm.
thing that both Henry and I have liked about on and off ever since we met and started doing the show. And I think yeah, finally gonna do it. So it'd be nice way
Mhm.
to end the year on a good note. And like you said, yeah, I think I don't know what we're gonna do yet. We might record almost like an in the field episode or something.
Mhm.
I may record a video or something for the YouTube channel or mine at least. But yeah, it should just be a fun day. We'll be out shooting and
Yeah.
yeah. So he'll be here in Ohio or my
Mhm.
neck of the woods a little bit more maybe, but it
Yep.
should be still fun all the same.
Awesome. Yeah, it'll be great. We can also
Mhm.
try each other's gear too. I've never tried a DSLR, so I'd like to look through an optical viewfinder. It's pretty crazy.
I'd like to look through one of the what do you call that viewfinder on
Electronic,
mirrorless?
yeah.
Is it just like okay? I wasn't sure if there's
Mhm.
some fancy term. Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to see that.
Uh huh.
We'll swap gear for a day. We'll try that.
Mhm.
See how well you get
Interesting.
a bird
Yeah.
shot
Uh
off.
huh.
You can try my Tamron lens out and
Uh
everything.
huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's gonna be fun though.
yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah. And if you guys have any ideas for in the field content we could do, we'd be definitely willing to look at that.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I want to interview you so bad. I think it'd be fun. I don't
Yeah,
know how we're gonna
that'd
do
be
it, but
awesome.
we'll do it.
Like
I have an idea, but
like for your YouTube channel or for the podcast, or
yeah,
you thinking?
yeah. I mean, I don't know, a vlog video hybrid thing.
Hmm.
So on location, but it's Henry Doyle. On
I
location
also
with Henry Doyle. That sounded weird.
I'd also be, if you're willing, I'd also like to get some like stills of myself taking photos. I don't have a lot of those. I'll do the same for you too, if
Oh
you
yeah.
want some. Just kind of like in the
Oh
field
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
dude. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we can do that.
awesome.
Catch you in the moment,
Mm.
candid.
Yeah,
That'd
thank
be
you.
fun, dude. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I'm up for whatever you like. If you want to do birds or landscapes, depending on the light, I guess that all
Mm.
matters. But like, I'm good with whatever, really.
Cool.
The problem. I don't know about you, but lately I just been such in like a rut. It's been pretty bad. I realized it this past week, and I'm just like, man, I don't know. Eh. Like it's just everything's kind of looking that gross kind of winter color, and I'm like,
Hmm.
and even like the birds are just not really cooperating with me. So it's just like everything's just kind of like working against me, and I just been
Hmm.
like kind of a little bummed out, to be honest.
I've kind of been in an editing rut. Like I've been doing a lot of shooting, but I just don't feel like editing
Mm.
photos. I just have like 100 I need to edit right now. It
Huh.
just keeps filling up, and I don't know.
Really?
Hmm.
Huh. That's weird. I had that
Yeah.
real bad. It carried over from spring, but it was like summer. Summer, this whole like second half of the year has been really weird for me, just overall in life, just kind of like scheduling and just commitments,
Hmm.
like time commitments and being busy. But like, I had like a good chunk of probably a few hundred like raw files to sift through and edit. And like after I did my Hocking Hills trip, like it just like doubled basically from that whole trip, and it just became so much. But needless to say, in October, I didn't go out shooting like all basically. I went to like Ohio caverns and like I took some portraits of my gallery people at Front Street, and like that was it. Like it was basically like a couple hours the whole month, and I just spent that time hunkering down and just editing everything I had and getting caught up. And, yeah,
Yeah.
editing ruts though are weird too.
Hmm. Yeah, like I just don't want to do
Yeah,
any editing. I don't know why. It's just
that's me every time. Shoot,
uh-huh.
it's the
Yeah,
one
maybe
thing I think.
I'm moving on, I guess. Moving on from all the computer stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
when you first started the show, I think you're on the record saying you love the editing a lot, or the computer.
Yeah.
You like computer stuff in general,
Hmm.
but like it's
I
the one
couldn't
thing
care
I would
less now. Yeah.
outsource. I would definitely outsource editing, and I'm getting closer
Oh,
to
oh,
being like, I
totally.
don't care about
Yeah.
how it looks. I
Uh-huh.
don't know. It's like the problem is a lot of like us kind of people I think are very meticulous and we like things a certain way, of course, because it's kind of like why we do
Hmm.
this, composing photographs, right? But like editing, I'm just like I feel like I have a style like I like to kind of lean towards, but like
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm getting close. I'm getting closer to being like just paying someone to be like just do it for me so I can
Hmm.
go out and photograph or do whatever else.
But I just feel like the amount of photos we take, that'd just be way too pricey. Like, if you're
Yeah.
like a fine art landscape photographer that takes like 3 images a year, maybe, but like what we do, like all the different variety and stuff, it would get expensive real fast.
Well, they probably take more than 3 images, but they definitely only
Hmm.
edit and promote or like post or whatever three.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They probably 3,000
Hmm.
or probably way more. And I don't know, especially if they're full time. Then it's like
Hmm.
if that's their main gig, like they probably take hundreds of thousands. I don't know. I was looking at my numbers actually on Luminar 3. There's because it has like the digital library, kind of like Lightroom. I was looking at like my total raw files for each year, the past couple 5 years or whatever I've been doing, 6 years I've been doing this, and like it's just been interesting to see it. This year's actually been a lot, not a lot, but like quite a big chunk less than like the past 2 years. I think 2019, I did photos, and once again, it's just a number. Like how many of those I edit and actually like, that's a big difference. But I'm just saying, like the actual raw photos, like the grand total that year, it's like 2019 was like a crap ton. 2020 is very, very much because pandemic. So I had like so many months where all I can do or all I really did was photograph and go
Hmm.
out and hike. But this year has been a decent amount, yeah, a decent amount less. It's pretty close to last year's numbers, but like um, several thousands, but still.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of been interesting. I think it's been a less is more. I learned that this year is like going out a week and like that's it. Like that's probably the most time I'll get that in a lot of cases. Not always, but especially this year, this time of year when like the daylight, so I don't have much time, you know, after the day job or whatever. But like, just like being okay with that, like this past weekend, I like went out for a few hours and that's all I had this like for basically until next weekend or something. And like, I didn't get any photos really of notable, just anything I really was proud of. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. That's okay too. It's good to be okay with that and walk away. So I'd rather not edit something that's garbage or something I don't like, you know.
Yeah. That's why I think like
So
it's good like both of us have kind of moved away from daily posts cuz I feel like you just like post like sometimes the most like, you know, not the best photos, like you lower your standards almost. And you just kind of you go out shooting just for the kind of the social media side of things. I don't think that's necessarily the right way to go.
yeah, or it's even gotten to a point where like if I post like let's say it's like a bird or a wildflower like that I posted before like historically on my account, like I don't even bother with it sometimes. It's
Mm.
like I'd rather show something that's unique, I guess, so to speak, or something I never captured on camera before. But yeah, I definitely agree. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've been doing daily just because it's been backed up. Like I said, I had those months where I didn't edit
Mm-hmm.
and didn't post anything. So I did take a
Yeah,
big
for
break,
sure.
but like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then the hockey trip, I mean, that 3 days worth, like, I edited some of my photos from that and posted a lot of them, but,
Mm-hmm.
for what it's worth.
Yep.
Hmm.
Uh,
But yeah,
yeah.
it's been good.
Ross in the chat had a
Oh,
great chat about that. He said daily content leads to quantity, not quality. That's definitely true.
mm-hmm.
And unless you know if you like you had a big stockpile and you took I know you took a long break too, so it's not like you were posting for months before that. It's just all depends. If you have quality photos, why not post every day? But if not, I wouldn't lower your standards just for grid perfection or better algorithms or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with you, Ross. And yeah, referring to this past weekend again, because it was just kind of like a bummer. I was just like, I did not feel inspired for whatever reason, and like the weather turned south real quick. Actually, the YouTube video is already up on my channel if you want to see it. But like I took like image and I was like looking back, what that was me trying too hard. I was just because I was trying to record a video and like, but like I realized, anyways, realized it's like with posting photos online is like if I'm not excited about sharing it or excited about it on its own, then I don't feel like it's need to be shared. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like I
definitely.
have to be excited about my own thing before I, you know, post it and assume other people will be too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But but yeah,
I
I don't know.
I had an interesting shoot this weekend. I went to I've been trying to get some like good waterfowl shots because I don't feel like I have a lot. So I went to like a pond like about 30 minutes away from me. I did all the only research I did was eBird, and I probably shouldn't have just looked at eBird because when I got there the pond was like very sloped, so I couldn't get down to the shoreline. So it was kind of like shooting down at things. Um, but I did end up finding a white crowned sparrow in some of the grasses around it. I didn't get a good photo of it, but it was like my first sharp photo, so that was pretty cool. But I definitely would say do like a Google Earth research before going to locations, because I kind of wasted my time. I could have gone to like a better place with that time. So
Do you, I know for Ohio, there's a bird. It's called I think it's called birdinginohio.com or something like that, and it's like an offshoot site of eBird or whatever, and
mm,
it breaks down. It's basically centered on the hotspots side of eBird, where it breaks down and it gives you like specifics, like if there's restroom amenities and like it tells you the acreage of the parks or whatever it may be at, and like it breaks it down like with like even like user submitted like tips like go to this part of the parking lot, park here, go on this trailhead.
oh wow.
It gives you like it breaks down like stuff. Yeah, it's a very nice resource to use like in conjunction with eBird. But like, I'm wondering if there's something like that for the place you went that might be like, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, or just in general for like Kentucky maybe. Um, I'm not sure if there's like a birding in Kentucky, but it might be worth seeing if there is.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. I should probably get involved with some kind of like Audubon society here too, because I feel like those people would have some helpful tips.
Mhm.
Because like I have like two good spots, but for like waterfowl, like kind of like lake pond stuff. But I'm just kind of tired of like the backgrounds on those. Like I keep getting the same ones over and over again. So I've really been trying to find some more ones. But it takes work, definitely. It does.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah, I mean, Audubon Society is a good idea, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I was about to say something else. I forget what it was. Is there any like camera clubs or any like groups you can join or like I know if it, are you on Facebook? Like there's like some groups that have like chase birds and it might have
Mhm.
stuff like that. I'm not sure if bird
Well,
chasing's like your thing, but like it kind of
funny.
helps you with like tips, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Good.
Funny story about Facebook. I actually got banned off of Facebook, on like three different accounts. Um,
Oh,
I had an ad blocker. I have an ad blocker like on my internet browser. So I made an account for my computer once trying to get Facebook. It banned me on that. Tried to make another account for my phone. It banned me too because it figured I was the same person. So I can't make a Facebook account actually.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
but I was only gonna use it for like the Instagram connections and stuff. But
Mhm.
I'll look at like I know there's other community sites like Flickr probably has some groups with that. Um, yeah, so I'm sure I'll find something, and I'm not going to be in Louisville forever too, so I'm sure wherever I end up, they probably have groups as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just thinking because like there's some groups on there that I'm a part of. They're like very localized, and it's like you're talking about very specific locations that like are in maybe your region or county, and it's like
Mhm.
it's pretty neat because like I'll meet people out in the field that are on like those groups, and like you can kind of refer back to them and stuff. So do you ever like now I'm thinking about it, do you ever meet anyone outside like while you're out photographing that you really follow up with later on? Do you ever meet anyone like that?
Um, I I've met like one person out in the field that I like followed out with up in Michigan actually. Louisville's kind of interesting. I've maybe seen one person photographing like nature out like in my
Really?
whole 3 years of photography. Louisville's like a dead zone. I don't know why. It's got some great photo opportunities. It's not like it's a bad place to photograph, but there's not a lot of nature photographers here. I don't understand it, but compared to Ohio, I mean Ohio's just crazy amounts of people. I don't know what makes
Yeah.
Ohio so much more, but uh, I'm shocked
Mhm.
by the amount of like birders, landscape photographers, and all that who are from Ohio that I just randomly find on Instagram or randomly find on YouTube. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point though. Now I'm thinking about
Mhm.
it. And I haven't traveled enough out of state, especially to really gauge that. But I mean, I'll take your word for it. I mean, Ohio does seem like it's pretty well represented, I will say.
Mhm.
So it's kind of strange. Wonder why that is. Yeah, maybe there's nothing else to do around here.
Mhm.
But are you talking like people with
Michigan.
like with? Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say Michigan. I've kind of the same thing. I know, like, I don't know if you know Evan Reister, but he lives right by me up in Michigan. We were gonna shoot last summer, but it didn't work out because of the time. But besides him, I'm like the only other nature photographer that's ever really shot that area and posted about it. So it's pretty crazy all the areas I go to. I'm sure there's people that take photos, but just not that I found. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, not every like some of the big places like we have let's see short-eared owls like right now or like in the during the winter like there's a place out here where I live that like people from across the state even go to just to see them. So like
Mm.
it's pretty commonplace most evenings when it gets to dusk to like see these people going out in this prairie with big telephoto lenses and like I've met like fairly we'll say fairly famous like naturalists. I mean,
Oh
and
wow.
I met other wildlife photographers from out
Mhm.
there, like just stuff like that, basically.
Mhm.
Um,
You might have to
but yeah,
take me
it's one of those things. That,
to one of the owl spots. That'd be cool.
yeah, I haven't gone. And January is great. January is a great month, I will say in general, because I have this local. It's a local fen, and there's this great horned owl that I've been following for the past 2 years. So this will be the third winter, and like I always tell people like local people I'm with, I'll be like, hey guys, you need to go to this place. Like I always chalk it up saying like it's they start ever mating in really early when they're like first birds of the year that really go to that sort of thing and nest building. And like it's just I tell them like go there man, like you will at dusk, and it's not a big like wetland, but like it has a small boardwalk and everything. And I tell them like just go there, just keep your eyes and ears peeled. You're probably gonna see it and hear it, but it'll be high up in treetops somewhere, and they'll probably be looking at you before you come back. So a couple of years now, and it's like I only have to then I can find it. Pretty much any night you probably see it. But
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Great horned outfit. It was like
Um,
little. It's not in the, like are aware of it. People that go to that park, are pretty well aware of it. Talk to people there, seen the outfit. Like it kind of feels like a little secret, a little place
mhm.
that's like I can go to. But yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I
Any
think I don't
questions?
know if that's Kelly in chat, but Aussie Pacific Art, I think it's her.
Mike,
But
Kelly and
uh
we had her as a guest.
yeah, so
I
welcome.
told her about this, and she said
Uh-huh.
she'd be watching. Yeah, thanks for hopping on, Kelly.
Mhm.
Hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. Now that we have audio,
Yeah, that was funny.
but
I'm glad
it's
we
all
I'm glad
it's all
Ross
good.
caught it for me
Yeah.
when we did, because that would have been very bad, very bad.
See how long we can go on before people start saying it. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Thank you, Ross.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I just remembered backtracking. I know I said when the audio was cut off, but so I want to give a shout out to Joe Vale. He's been a big support to both, personally messaging us, talking about the podcast, and just engaging with us, and that's awesome, man. I mean, it's great to hear a listener really, talking to us one on one or whatever. And he does some great photography as well. So I'd follow him on like Instagram or I think wherever else he may be. I'm not sure where else. But he asked me this question about because I've been doing these greeting cards lately, and he asked me how I make them as an episode. Like, hey man, I'll answer it here live, and hopefully you tune in to hear it. But I'll keep it short. So basically, I make them with I go on jerrysartorama.com. It's like an online store outlet, and you can basically buy arts and craft supplies and everything. And they have some photography related stuff, but mainly I use them to get these greeting cards, and you can buy them in wholesale packages, like packs of 50, 100, sometimes more, for pretty good prices, because it is a wholesale thing. But I'll get like a few hundred of them and just use these 4x6 Canon glossies, and you can mount them on there or put them in the photo frames, like slide them in. And they're these nice canvas texture, kind of like a nice thicker cardstock, and they come with matching envelopes and everything. So pretty much put those all together and put them in 5x7 clear seal bags that have like an adhesive strip that I peel off, and that's basically how I make my cards. Um, they're fun to do though. I mean, it's fun to pick out photos and stuff I've taken over the years, and what people may like or whatever. People have suggested putting like words on them, but like I haven't done that yet. But maybe the next run of cards I'll do that. So we'll see. Hopefully that answers your question, Joe.
That's awesome. Yeah. How many did you do of those? How many greeting cards?
Um, 2 years ago, I did my first like big run of them. It was like at least 100, 150, 200 cards.
Oh wow.
And it's kind of like a guess. Yeah, it's a big process, but I mean, like I just get out enough flat surfaces and tables, and I just lay out the 4x6s to dry for like up to 12, 24 hours or whatever. And then, yeah, I mean, buy the materials for it, of course. And it's just honestly, it's as simple as just spending a day or something, just kind of, it may be repetitious, but like just kind of just going through them and stuff and putting them all together because it does take quite a big chunk of time to do them by hand and everything. I don't mind it too much, and it's satisfying at the end being like, put these together myself, photo, of course, but like together and everything. And so there's those cards from there. I don't really give them. I mean, I do give them to some people, I guess, like close friends, or whatever. But like, they pretty much all go to my galleries, my two main galleries, and I put them for sale. but people enjoy them a lot. Yeah. So
Do you
awesome.
usually sell a large amount of them, or?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean they last a while, and I can kind of I've gauged over the time I've been selling work that's like what people may like more than others. Like not everyone likes a snake, but like a lot of people may like a flower or
Mm.
just a colorful leaf or maybe birds are kind of a toss up because like if it's like a bird that maybe like you or I would appreciate, like a warbler or something, like we like those species of course, but like people like the more common birds, I think. So like cardinals, chickadees, titmice, maybe like certain woodpeckers. So it really just depends. Excuse me. It really just depends. But yeah, but I mean, yeah, they sell pretty well, I think. You know, it may take a little while sometimes, but like I usually go through quite well. Um, yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
That's a great idea, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd recommend it. So I recommend anyone to print the work. So um, yeah, more recently I got connected with now that we're working with hunts and everything with the podcast. I may be on my own doing a webinar maybe soon, maybe at the beginning of the year, about printing from home, photo printing that is. And so they basically people, and he's been working with Henry for a while, and more recently been doing stuff and engaging with him. But he basically connected me with, I guess, this. He connected me with Canson that makes like photo papers and stuff, and they sent me some like free samples of some like 8.5 by 11s, and so I'm gonna get to like stuff, some prints, and see how it looks, and talk basically for talk about my experience overall with printing.
Yeah, that's awesome. You So is that paper kind of like a glossy paper, or a matte paper, or what?
They sent me 4 packages. I think there's 10 or 25 sheets in each. They're all the same size, but like one of them is like a cotton rag, which that's like the good quality stuff that like the fine art papers are. It literally has like almost like a painterly look to it, the texture at least. I believe the other ones, I think there's a matte, glossy, maybe like a high gloss or something like that. But each of the 4 packages is a different texture. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sample, maybe like take 3 images and kind of like maybe certain images in certain colors tend to go well with certain papers.
Mm-hmm.
So just briefly touch upon it. Usually like matte papers look better with black and white. It's just much more muted color, I guess. While whereas like color, full color, we'll say, um, um, but it's just more like an activity or guideline. Um,
Nice.
but I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to trying them nonetheless, and I'll be looking forward to, like I said, hopefully soon talking about in front of an audience and stuff.
Have you ever done a
I,
webinar
I
before?
translate. No, I know you've quite a lot. You've probably done like what, 8 or something? It's a
I
lot.
Yeah, around 8 or 10. Yeah, it's
Really,
great.
that's
I
awesome.
love doing them. They're nerve wracking at first. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's you know, doing a podcast is hard. Like it can be scary, but like going in front of live people, I mean, man, it's another thing. But once you get into the groove of it, it's great. And people usually have some great questions. Like I did one a couple weeks ago, a winter photography program. I've been doing that quite a bit, and I probably got about like 15 questions afterwards. It was just great, not just about the program, just about photography in general. And probably stayed on for an extra like 30 minutes. I got people who wanted to, do workshops with me and, buy my stuff and, just generally support me.
Huh.
So they're great. I think they're
That's
one of the
awesome.
best places for networking. And most of the webinar things will pay you too. Like if once you get up to a certain level, if you're doing them for a camera club, they'll generally pay you. So that's just kind of an added
Gee,
bonus. I definitely do them for free, but they're awesome. So glad you're getting into that.
yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I know. I think I attended your first webinar you ever did. That's
Mm.
correct. It was the Young Wildlife Photographers
Oh yeah,
one, I think, by
the
Nampa.
panel one that was awesome. That's
It was the
probably my
panel.
favorite still. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I think I listened to one after the fact. I think it was with Ian Plant because it was
Oh
on his
yeah, that
YouTube
was
channel.
fun. Yeah. That's a great
Yeah,
channel. I didn't know about him
you do
until
great.
I went on the show. But he does some great stuff, just kind of a wide variety. Um, I know he recently did like a Hunt's Holiday gift guide, which was pretty cool, and he has on all kinds of guests and super great channel. So
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I've been casual follower of his work over the years, but like yeah, like that's it's, uh, he's great work, and he's really top. Yeah, it's really good stuff too.
yeah,
But yeah, you did great on those, man. I mean, yeah,
thank you.
it's really cool to see you doing those and like get in front of people and talking
Mhm.
about more of this, and you giving a shout out to the show, of course, too. Getting us people to listen.
Yeah, I mean they definitely. I find that these panels are generally kind of an older audience, and programs like YouTube or Instagram may be a little bit harder for some people, but like podcasts, they're very kind of universal. It can be kind of hard to find for the older crowd at first, but once they kind of get into it, I find that some of the older age people like listening a lot. Like if you look at the demographics, there's a pretty heavy percentage, kind of 50 and up, which is really cool. It's good that all ages are getting connected. I think kind of the younger side is more YouTube, and then the older side is more the audio platforms and stuff. So.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I feel like it's a lot because of the maybe the older generation that are like retiring and everything, and they're like needing to fill time and have like a hobby.
Mhm.
So maybe they're like attending these webinars, and maybe there's like the age difference a little bit, the gap, and being like, wow, look at these younger photographers doing this, and it's like cool because maybe yeah they will ask you questions about like
Mhm.
what camera should I buy, or like what should I photograph, just anything.
Mhm.
Um, that's really cool. I really thought about it too. I guess the webinars are a newer thing, but maybe it's something that they're just more tuned into, I guess.
Mhm. And I mean, obviously, like
Yeah.
too, like I think COVID really created a lot of webinars. Like it wasn't very popular before, but I think they're sticking around. Honestly, I think people really like them. It's a lot more convenient. You can stay in your house, but also, I'll definitely be doing some in-person things in the future too. It's just kind of want to do both. Um, I'm considering doing workshops up in Michigan next summer because I already have interest, and I know a lot about that area. So something like that could be really cool. But I definitely like doing both. Like, well, I actually haven't done anything in person yet, but I'd like to kind of do both for my photography business. So.
Yeah. Yeah, a combination of both sounds good. Like you can
Mhm.
even teach people like online with webinars, like tutorial stuff, and yeah, then in the field, of course, workshops or
Mhm.
in-person lectures, webinar or scratch that. I did do a guided hike last September, but that was just it was a free thing. I just did sign for. It was
Mhm.
a local band and stuff, a local nonprofit. And yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was something different, definitely nerve wracking because it was like I had to like kind of talk to a small
Mhm.
group, albeit like probably like five people, five, six other people. But yeah, we just took like a little hike on this 1 mile boardwalk, and but it was a lot of fun. And I think I learned a lot about how to really it's kind of like an event. Definitely want to do more of them in the future. Paid or free doesn't matter really to me.
Yeah, that must have been very nerve wracking too. I mean, I can't imagine that. Like, I'll be very scared my first time. I'm sure because it's just different. You're meeting the person. In person. So.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
the toughest part was there's two guys that had like that years back, of course, but and I've like met them before at the same place in the other local area wetlands and stuff, and like they know they're much older, but like they know their stuff way better than I. And a lot of time I was like getting corrected about IDs for birds or just anything, So it was a little maybe embarrassing a little bit because like I didn't. Of course, I don't know everything, but like I don't claim it to. But like we all help each other, so maybe that's just the fun of it, I guess. Collaborating, I guess, and just enjoying being out there in nature.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's like one of the biggest fears is getting asked a question. Or, speaking of which, do you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna say if anybody has any questions, put them in the chat. We want to thank you all for being here. We have about 7 viewers. That's great. Honestly, we're grateful for every single one of you, and we'll literally answer anything. So ask away.
You're my favorite 7 people right now, besides you, Henry.
Actually, I think one is me on my iPad. So.
Oh really?
Uh-huh.
I don't have it tuned in right now, so.
Yeah, I'm just monitoring the chat from here. Our massive amount of messages. And then in 12 minutes, we've got our special guest coming on. So.
Yeah. I know we talked about before the audio, or at the very beginning when the audio was cut off, but it's pretty funny. We got a little overzealous about being a guest on the show, and he actually responded within a day, and he said like, "Hey," it was Henry, it was you that emailed, but he's just like, "Hey Henry," but man, it was awesome that he actually did that. Still has a way to give a response at all, so that was really nice of him.
Yeah, it just shows how like welcoming and kind of just very together the photography community is, or the nature photography community specifically. Because you could pick any other like fandom or like group, you'd never get a creator that big to respond to you. But in the photography community, I think it's just different. And Thomas Eaton, I think he really gets people. He's been there. Just a couple years ago, he was just like us. So, yeah, it's great to see people responding like that.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, I was echoing what you said, but I mean, yeah, it was really cool that he did that, and it's definitely, it could be a toss up of like how many people are really responsive to like, but he didn't have to respond at all, like no obligation, because we basically emailed him out of the blue, just asking about this random show he's never heard of, but like the fact that he did it, it's pretty cool. Speaks volumes about his character. I've been a big fan of him since probably like 2018. I watched almost all videos, not a lie, but he's pretty much one of the biggest reasons I started a YouTube channel for photography, of course. Yeah, he's great. He's one of my favorites. He's very talented, very down to earth, but charismatic and funny. It's same time. The guy, but from what I've seen, he's really cool.
And we did get a couple questions here. So where will the podcast go from this point? So I mean, I'd just say like, we're gonna keep doing, pretty much weekly episodes. I'm sure we'll take a couple breaks every once in a while, but we'll keep to the weekly thing. We've been doing clips. We'll keep at those. Also, we're gonna be working with a lot more brands. Having ambassadors on. Having some bigger guests on. Working with companies. Just all that kind of stuff. Just kind of expanding our reach. And yeah, do you have any other thoughts on that, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean that's the big, very much. Yeah, just of the show and everything. Like I said earlier, we started this as just a little thing that at the time 3 of us were doing. Now it's just Henry. Yeah, it's cool as it becomes a part of what we do and everything. It's become its own kind of, I don't know what you call it, a workhorse. It's just become its big entity, I'll say, of what we do. And yeah, I think coming in the new year, this year has been great overall for the show. Just having different friends and guests on, people we've never met before, people I've met in person many times. Even like the topics that just Henry and I did, like they've been really awesome. And just seeing the continual listeners and just people supporting us and people I'll meet in person, photographer friends or whatever, saying like, "Hey, I listened to an episode or whatever. You guys do great," or still are. So yeah. So thanks for everyone for listening at least. But yeah, just more of what we do. I don't know if we said it again before the initial hiccup at the beginning, but like Henry and I are meeting at the end of. Did we already say that? I can't remember now.
Oh,
we're meeting at the end of the month.
I can't remember if that was before or after. Well, we can say it again. I don't think we set it with audio.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but we're meeting in
So.
person for the first time, which is pretty darn cool. 54 episodes? Yeah, 54 episodes, and we've never met. So we're finally going to do it. Finally going to shoot. Maybe record some content. Maybe like a in the field episode or something like that. So we're both super excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I'm going to video of the we have to vlogging, which I've never featured on my channel as myself, really. Like that cool something to collab with you on. But yeah, I think we might record something, a little episode to start off next year of this. Basically, like maybe we'll do it after the fact or even in the field. I don't know. We'll figure it out at least, but or maybe both. That'd be kind of cool, actually. I think about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting you finally. It's been like over a year and a half, like you said, 54 episodes, and still haven't done it yet. I know we talked about it ever since we started the show, but like now we're finally, I think we're gonna do it. Cool.
Yep. One thing I can say, you will not be intimidated by my height. I'm only like 5'7", so if you expect me to be like 6'5" or something, you know, it's not gonna scare you or anything.
I know, right? Yeah. It's good bird.
No, I mean that's true. Being short for wildlife photography, it's so good because you can crouch easier. You know, hide under some brush or something. Yeah, it's great. Although you don't get like if there's a bird in a tree, you can't get eye level as easily. But you know.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. I'm about 5'7", so like.
Oh wow.
Not that much different, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna be up here in Ohio, so you're gonna be up in my neck of the woods, and I know you asked me about like locations we could go to. So I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm open to whatever you want to shoot. You probably want to do more of my language, so we can definitely. But I have a pretty good grasp of the Dayton area, like everywhere around there. So like, I could probably make up a list of places if you want to shoot the whole day. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and I'll definitely that'll be like my second day with the R5 too. So I'll probably want to try out some of the wildlife stuff on that. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
So, and I can even take you back to my grandparents' property too, show you around there as well afterwards or something, because that's got some good photo opportunities. And I know you've worked a lot with Beaver Creek, and Beaver Creek runs through there as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, I'd love to see that.
Awesome. Yeah, so we should be getting Noah on here. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Delay.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead. You're good.
I was just going to say we should be getting Noah Buchanan in just a couple minutes. So if you're planning on leaving, don't leave yet, you know, because we're going to be doing the big giveaway, and Noah's going to be talking about hunts. And, you know, I just want to say hunts. Oh, there he is right now. Okay.
There he is. The universe heard us. Yeah. We'll wait until we get. We're waiting. All right, he's on standby. So yeah. Yeah, don't leave yet, guys. Yeah, Noah's a great guy. He's a talented photographer, and he works for hunts. And he's here to talk more about hunts in general and everything. Introduce himself, I guess, and hunts, and then the giveaway, of course.
Yeah, and you know, Hunts is a great company. You know, I buy pretty much all my gear through there now. And I think, you know, B&H and Adorama, they're great, but I think it's great to support some of the smaller camera stores out there. You know, they provide personalized service. If I have any questions, I can just text any of the people at Hunts, and they'll just answer my questions. You know, fast shipping. You know, great support. I can't recommend it more highly. So we're happy to have Noah on here tonight.
And to work with the company and ongoing basis for coming up here the next year and beyond, hopefully.
Noah, I don't know if you know, but I believe you are muted and your camera's off. There's another voice crack, of course. Live on stream. But,
No, man, I think
there we go.
Hey, you guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Sweet.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
yeah, thanks for coming on.
How's the night been going?
It's been great.
Good. It's been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and give you the floor here.
Awesome.
We already kind of gave you an intro here, so yeah.
Awesome.
Coming
Yeah,
on.
thank you guys. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit about myself first, a little bit more about how I got into photography and where I got to where I am now with hunts. I actually started photography when I was around 14 years old, freshman in high school. That's kind of really when my interest came about. Played a lot of sports growing up and was never really that great. But I still wanted to be involved with them. A lot of my friends played sports, so photography was kind of a way to still be involved throughout high school. And really just kind of be involved in that community. And photography really, it's inspired me to get out and do other things outside of that. But it really started with sports photography, and that's kind of how I got into it. So I went to school for photojournalism after that. Spent 2 years at the New England School of Photography in Boston, going to school for photojournalism because that's what I wanted to do with my life. And maybe one day I still will, who knows? But for right now, kind of put that on the back burner. And right after I got out of school, Hunts actually has a location right across from where I went to school in Boston. You could basically throw a baseball and hit the storefront just across the road. And that was great because I was in there all the time. I knew the people who worked there really well. Enjoyed every time I went in there, got to check out the used stuff, and was always browsing through that kind of thing. But for me, I really love cameras. I was definitely a little bit of a camera nerd, and I still am, and love the gear and love the equipment. So I always liked the idea of working at a camera store. So I started working there after school, and slowly came on full time. And now here I am, almost 5.5 years later, still with Hunts. Now I'm actually working out of our South Portland, Maine store. Even though I've been working from home through the pandemic, that's kind of where my home office is. So for me, my start with hunts came from a love of photography for myself, and I still love photography. So it's really a great thing that I get to be surrounded by other amazing photographers all the time, get to talk about photography, talk about gear, and talk about equipment. And I think that's what makes Hunts so special is everybody at Hunts is a photographer one way or another, or has some sort of photography background, and we're all passionate about it. Whereas you maybe go into like a big box store and just talk to any one of the sales associates, half the time or more than half the time, they probably don't know anything about the photography equipment. And the people who do work in the photography area, who knows how actually serious they are about it. So with Hunts, you're going to get that personalized service where you're going to talk to somebody who is also a photographer and has a passion for photography. And for me, I love sharing my passions with other people and going out, taking photos with other people, and really doing anything. So it really is kind of this whole community aspect for us. And Gary and I, Gary Farber, we really kind of put that in everything that we do. It always comes down to customer relationships, getting to know our customers, getting to spend time with them at trade shows and conferences and events. It's really such an amazing opportunity. And unlike a lot of other camera stores, you're not getting that same type of experience. So I'm really happy to be a part of it. Hunts has 8 retail locations now all throughout New England. 5 of those are in Massachusetts. One is in Rhode Island. One is in New Hampshire. And then there's the one up here in Maine, which is where I am and typically working out of. But what's so great about what I've been doing the past 2 years is I've been able to come on and do things like this with both of you guys. I've done a lot of education, a lot of programs online, and we've gotten to continue to work with all of our customers even through the pandemic. We're not traveling, doing those trade shows as much as we were before. Hopefully, we'll start getting into more of it as time goes on. But we've been able to stay connected with all of our customers and really even strengthen a lot of those relationships too. And for us, that is so important. We're not just in it for the one-time sale. We're in it because we want to help the photography community, help fellow photographers become better photographers, and provide them the gear and the equipment they need to do that, and be there to assist them when they have questions on it, and help them help recommend things to them that maybe they weren't aware of. I love just going on the phone with a customer, talking about what type of photography they do, trying to fill those needs for maybe a certain lens or a new camera body, and just kind of talk about it. I'm definitely a little bit of a nerd when it comes to that, but I think we all are when it comes to photography. Even though there's a lot of people out there who say they don't care as much about the gear, everybody I think enjoys it to some extent, and that's what I think makes it so fun and such a great place to work for. Hunts has been really great, and I look forward to doing a lot more with them. So that was kind of the long-winded spiel and introduction of myself. For any rambling on there, I apologize, but it's something that I'm really passionate about, and photography will always be a part of my life one way or another. I don't think I'll ever stop taking photographs, or I don't think anybody will now that we have smartphones capable of doing so. But for me, photography has really shaped who I am today, and Hunts has been a big part of that, and I'm really grateful to be a part of it, and I'm always looking forward to working with new customers, helping them get the right gear and equipment. So yeah, just want to thank you guys for having me come on for a little bit here, introduce myself, talk a little bit about Hunts, who we are all, and what we're all about. If anybody does ever want to get in contact with me, my email is always the best way to reach out, which is just my first initial N and then my last name, Buchanan, spelled out, at huntsphoto.com. That's always the best way to get in touch with me. So yeah.
And I'll put that in chat as well for
awesome.
anybody that wants that.
Awesome. Anything else that you guys had for me? I know we're going to do that giveaway here in a little bit, but any questions that you guys had for me personally about my own work, Hunts, anything that we do that people are asking about?
I mean, do you want to tell us a little bit about kind of the photography you do today, like kind of the genre you like to work with?
Yeah, so I mean, personally, I've done a lot of different types of photography. Really kind of started off doing more sports and action photography. I went to school again for photojournalism, so I was doing that for quite a while, and then kind of just grew out of it. I think I just grew out of sports in general. I don't really play that many sports anymore besides snowboarding and mountain biking, which are not really team sports like I was playing growing up. But besides that, my love for sports photography kind of has gone away over the years, and my love for the outdoors and nature has really increased. So a lot of my work now is around landscape photography, nature photography. I've been getting more into wildlife photography just as I'm being surrounded by more and more wildlife photographers. It's inspiring me to go out and play around with it, which is not something that I've done much of. But I would say, yeah, I mean, anything outdoors. I love just being outdoors in general. I hated doing studio photography when I was going to school. I hated doing portraitures, headshots. I didn't like doing product photography and editorial photography. I liked being outdoors with my cameras and having these experiences. So that's what it comes down to with me and my photography. I always find it hard to describe what I do because I've done so much. But I would say just nature photography is probably the best way to describe it, whether it be wildlife or landscape photography or anything out in nature, I guess would be the simplest terms to kind of summarize it. So, and it's probably going to change, which is what I like about photography. I've done all different sorts of things, and if you get bored of one subject matter or one style of photography, you can do something completely opposite and have a whole different experience. So that's another thing that I love about it so much, is the versatility that I have and the capabilities that I have.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like over the years, like in the past couple of years, like we've seen nature photography getting really popular. And that's one of the things I like about Hunts. Working with you and Gary and some of the others, it's really kind of tailored for nature photographers. Like I know you guys work with portraits and studio and stuff, but like you really get nature, which I think is great. You don't see that at the bigger stores, and it's really a different kind of field that requires different equipment and different knowledge. So I think it's great that you're working with Hunts and you're so passionate about it yourself, because
Yeah,
you really don't see that a lot. So
and Gary and I have kind of found ourselves in this niche of nature and wildlife photographers that, as a whole, is probably a very small portion of what a photographer does, or somebody who calls themselves a photographer. The nature and wildlife thing is such a small category, so we find ourselves really kind of targeting that audience, especially doing a lot of birding and wildlife festivals, and have met being met so many people over the years. It's led to just some amazing things, and it's just a great community in general to be involved with. And we like surrounding ourselves with other like-minded people, and we've made some great friends over the years. I know Gary has for sure, and he's been doing it much longer than I have. But in the few years that I've been traveling and doing these events and conferences, especially the wildlife ones and the birding ones, I would say that's definitely one of our strongest markets where we've been able to build a really good following and a really good kind of rapport with a lot of these people in that industry. Where when you talk to a fellow wildlife photographer or bird photographer, there's probably a good chance they've heard of us or seen us at a festival or something along those lines, which is something that I think we're pretty proud of. A lot of these birding festivals, Gary has been a big part of adding on photography aspects to them as well. A lot of them that just started off as a birding festival now has a lot of photography opportunities because of Gary and his kind of influence in this market. He's kind of a household name, I guess you could say, when it comes to wildlife and nature photographers. So it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's really evident. I haven't followed your work, Noah or Gary, but I've just recently connected with you this year. But I mean, it's been great seeing how much you well represent those younger wildlife photographers and really give them shout outs and, work with them directly. So that's really cool. They really, establish those relationships with them.
Yeah, exactly. And I know Gary's been a big provider with that, especially the younger generation of photographers. Has been something he's been so passionate about, kind of bringing up the next generation of photographers, giving them opportunities that a lot of people didn't have when they were doing photography at a younger age, and kind of giving them some spotlight that they deserve. So I think that's really awesome.
For sure.
So yeah, I guess we'll just go ahead and go on with the giveaway.
Yeah.
So you want to talk a little
Sounds
bit
good.
about that?
Yeah, so we're going to be raffling off, I believe, or I forget how we were picking the winner, but we have a $100 gift card, 2 hunts, can be used towards anything, whether it be a new lens, new camera, some spare batteries, memory cards, to one of the listeners today, which is really exciting. So did you guys figure out a way how you want to pick the winner, or did we have that all determined yet?
Yeah, I was thinking the number system.
Sure.
So you want to explain that?
Yeah, so we've kind of done this thing on a lot of these other Zoom sessions where we'll pick a number 1 to 100, and the person who gets that number first is the winner. Keeps it pretty fair and pretty even, and just kind of a fun way to build some engagement and make sure everybody's actually tuning in. So if you guys want to do it that way, I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I hope we have enough chatters here to do that. Actually, yeah. Let's see. Before we start here, can everybody just type like 1 or something to show you're available? Because if we don't have enough people, we'll do a different system. But
Sure.
How many people do we have on right now?
I think we have 7 right now. So
Okay.
all right, we got Kelly here, so that's good. I know she'd put that gift card to great use. Buy some great equipment. So.
No, she does beachside photography. So she does like these
Okay.
abstracts of sand and stuff that are really, really
That's awesome.
textural.
Yeah.
She does great work.
That sounds really cool. Living by the beach or relatively close to the beach, I don't get there as often as I should. I feel kind of guilty that I live so close to the ocean, but like a lot of my times is spent more in the mountains or in lakes and away from the ocean because that's the busiest part of Maine. So I feel a little bit guilty that I don't take that to my full
Right.
advantage and get out there and shoot as often.
Yeah, that's understandable.
How close are you to like Acadia National Park and places like
From
that?
where I am now, Acadia, if there's no traffic, just over 2 hours. If there is traffic, especially in the summertime, 2.5, 3 hours. So really not that far. And for not being that far, it's another place I don't go frequently enough. I probably only go once or twice a year at most. So it's something that I definitely want to visit more. And when I am there, I usually spend about a week or so. I've done a couple events up there. It's an awesome place. I prefer it in the off season because during fall and all the peak foliage, it's just insane. All the hotels are sold out. There's people everywhere. So you got to get up real early, go to some more less known locations to avoid the crowds. But in the off season, it's pretty amazing too, even in the wintertime.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful place up there. So yeah, it doesn't look like we have a lot of active chat people right now, which is fine. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of late. So, do you know of any other good systems for that? I don't know if we could do something on our Instagram or something, or
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome to do something on the Instagram, maybe
okay.
do a post or something about this episode,
Mhm.
and find some way to maybe have people go back and comment on it, or
Mhm.
whoever comments gets entered in, and then we kind of do like a randomizer. Maybe after 24 hours, everybody who comments on the post will be entered in to win, and then from those comments, we'll randomly pick a winner. I think that could work.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, and I can get that handled. I can email you the winner and stuff, and
Awesome.
yeah, and we can have
Yeah,
them
that sounds
contact
good.
you. So yeah, if you have any other thoughts or anything
No,
else.
I just want to say thanks to you guys for having me on for a little bit. It's been really fun. I'm looking forward to talking to whoever ends up winning that gift card. Hopefully, you got something good in mind to use it towards. So it should be up on the page soon. But other than that, just want to thank you guys again. If anybody does have any questions for myself about hunts, if you're looking for new gear or new equipment, feel free to reach out to me via email. It's always the best way to get a hold of me. And yeah, looking forward to doing another one of these again soon, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Noah.
Happy
Thanks, guys.
holidays.
Have a good one. See you soon. Bye bye.
You too.
All right, that was
Oh,
great.
that's great. Yeah. Yeah. Noah's a great guy.
Yep.
So I hope everyone enjoyed hearing about him and more about hunts and everything.
Mhm.
So, like we said earlier, we're looking forward to really working with both him and the company at large in the coming
Mhm.
year.
And like when he says he's a photographer, like he's really a photographer. I mean, he goes out every weekend pretty much and shoots. So like he's dedicated to it, and he brings that to his job too. So I could not recommend Hunts more highly. It's great. So.
And digital and film too,
Mhm.
from Noah
Yeah.
specifically. Yeah, so it's really cool. Yeah, I do agree with that. It's like sometimes you go to those like big box stores,
Mhm.
I don't know, like a Best Buy or something, not the name drop, but like they might not know every single bit about it, but like yeah, you go to like someone like him and it's like lived. He's a photographer, like he knows his stuff more. He can probably help you better.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
sounds
So
great.
yeah, we got a couple more questions. So how did you start getting involved with brands? Did they reach out or notice you, or did you have to speak up for yourself? So I think we'll kind of just both answer this for our own platforms. For me, I was lucky enough to just get reached out to by a couple people. Gary from Hunts was one of them. A couple other groups too. And you just kind of have to push yourself out there, make content on multiple platforms. I've gotten discovered from not just Instagram, but also YouTube, mostly just those two. Um, and, just put yourself out there and the opportunities will come. I mean, you can't force things. You don't want to burn a bridge by going to someone that, may not want you in the current state you're in. But once you've developed your portfolio a bit more, developed your content, you could definitely, um, do that. Um, sorry, I don't know what happened with the video. Okay, there we go. So yeah, that's how it happened for me. What about you, Ryan?
Well, specifically in this scenario, I know Gary, yeah, active on comment posts, Instagram. Same for you, Henry. And you just seem like a really nice guy. Just always wanted to, reach out and be like, hey, great shot, all that stuff. And then I know he started working with you, Henry, more directly. And it's basically through you is the reason why I met him and started working with him more recently, the past couple months. And now he's going to be working with the show and everything and hunts, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's just been it's all about really, like you said, just kind of putting yourself out there. Even if I just feel like it's good to have standards with like the quality of the work you do in general, just in general, basically. But like you and I, Henry, doing the show, and like we said, almost weekly. Some breaks here, weekly episodes, working together as just a two-person team. getting guests on, working all that details and scheduling everything and promoting it. But it's just the two of us. Like, we're not hiring any outside people.
Yep.
And we still aren't with hunts. They're only going to help us promote more, but like, it's Henry and I are the only sole members that really make this machine run.
And we both have, day jobs and school and, all that kind of stuff too on top of that. So.
And still making photography.
Yep.
So that we have something to talk about on the show. But yeah, I mean, it's just simply, I hate to use like culture. Like, it is definitely like just like you said, just a continuous keep doing, what you want to do more of. And in some ways, a lot of opportunities will come your way, but you still have to put yourself out there. And like we said earlier about, emailing Thomas Heaton, or just just making an appearance, being professional, and just promoting it without being too like annoying or having like an ego about it, of course. But yeah, I'm just amazed we even got to this point, And honestly, I still say, like, even without these opportunities that came our way, like, I would still do this show just because I just like talking to people about this stuff. So, at the end of the day, that's really what it's about for me, at least.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a great answer right there. We have one more question here. Thoughts on indoor photography. So I've done a decent amount. The guy who asked this, he knows this because he used to do theater with me before he graduated, but I actually do the photography for my school's plays. So that's indoor. It's harder to deal with lighting. I know a specific example. I actually shot a political campaign about a month ago. That was like kind of a gig I did, and the lighting was extremely hard. Like, it's like I had to use a higher ISO than I do in like early morning light. It was that dark, so I had to use like a 1/50th of a second shutter speed and like ISO 8000, and it was so dark. It was a lot of challenges, but it was fun. It's not quite as I don't feel as like peaceful, but it's still photography. So I like it. I don't do it as much. So what about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I definitely agree where it's just like I definitely prefer the outdoor part naturally because that's what the show is about here. But I definitely dabble indoor, and it's a lot harder, like you said, because you're always like light in general is always in scarcity, even with bright artificial light. Like if it's like out of control, like you can't direction it like with strobes, like it becomes like really tough to meter for images, and just whatever you shoot, you may get underexposed, or like you may have to shoot at like a higher ISO, which introduces more noise. There's just a lot more variable. Whereas outdoor, it's kind of like day comes and that's just how it works most of the time, at least. But first, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just deciding it's more. Maybe I'm a little scared of indoors. Maybe should I try it more to get out of the comfort zone a little bit more with it.
Yeah, I think indoors, it's kind of hard to find things to shoot indoors because you kind of have to have an event first. It's not just like nature where you can go out and find something. So, it's definitely different with scheduling and everything. So,
a couple of years ago, I did an aquarium. I went to all indoors, and as you can imagine, very dark. So I was shooting at super high ISO handheld because I don't think they allow tripods. But I guess more recently, when I did my abandoned like urban exploration shoot, that was partially in, but like with some exposed light peering through windows and cracks and whatever the roof or wherever I may be at, and like it was tough. Like it wasn't tough because I had a tripod with me, but like it was more indoors, so I had to be more mindful, like metering for shadows, so that way there's some shadow detail. Because if you don't and you just underexpose those a lot, these just black blobs and there's no detail. And of course, you want light and shadow detail to provide depth and all that stuff. But that's probably the most recent like indoor shoot I've done. Albeit it was kind of still outdoors, because
holes in the roof and stuff.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I guess it was indoors enough to consider that.
Yeah, and this is a good time to announce we're doing an offshoot called the All Indoors Photography Podcast, about all our indoor endeavors. that's gonna be every other week. No, just kidding. But we'll.
It's gonna be a once a year episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be glad to talk about it. I know we are all outdoors, but the things still apply. You still have to do editing and aperture, shutter speed, ISO. So it's still photography for sure. I will say,
April Fool's episode do that.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Honestly, like
this coming
like a
year,
studio
oh
portraits or something. Yeah, I'm quitting birds.
We'll call
people only now.
Birds aren't real. Birds aren't real, man.
Yes. Now, I will say, like, it's hard because the lenses I have, the 16-35 f4 and my 100 to 500, they're not necessarily good event lenses. Like, I love them, outside. But inside with, like, the apertures, like, like my 100 500 is like an f6.3 for most of the range. So it's hard indoors. And I think if I was more, into that, I'd buy like 2.8 lenses. But, it's just kind of a different set of gear too. Like you can use the same camera body, but if I did it more, I'd definitely kind of invest a little bit.
Yeah, it's a whole different mindset. Kind of dodging around the question, but it's similar enough. For my YouTube channel, I do some like indoor, like in my studio kind of like videos, and that takes a decent amount of setup to really get the lighting right and feel professional enough, and it's not too underexposed. So it's not really photos, but I mean, it is like I think it's an idea of the course. It's a different thing than just going outside and just flipping it and being like recording. Sorry, that was really close to my camera, but recording, just a video of me talking or something. It's a different style. It requires a different thinking, I guess, with it maybe.
Yeah. So what I do is I kind of have one setup that I just leave up. So I have this, what I'm actually shooting on right now, I have this camcorder that I used to use for some outdoor videos, but now I just have it mounted on a tripod right behind my computer. And I actually did a new angle today. And it's just kind of nice to have something set up there, for all my programs. And also I can use it for YouTube as well. So I'd highly suggest something like that. To just kind of working that angle and just kind of making it look cinematic. It's not the highest quality in the world, but it works for what I do. So.
Yeah, I think that's important to note is like especially if you're like a budding photographer, like we'll say amateur, which that's a negative term used negatively, we'll say, but like it just means for the love of it. But like to shoot indoors, you don't need like these big budget like studio strobes and flashes. Like you can really be creative with it, and like maybe you can call it cheating a little bit, but like you can use available light from a window that has a good fill, like light peering through the room or wherever you may be at,
or even a lamp.
Or choose like or choose like a brighter I'm not sure if you see like the color behind me. It's like a light like beige kind of like taupe color, so it's like an off-white, like a creamy white basically, and like just basically brighter walls will make more light kind of like reflect and bounce off in a way. Like there's so many different ways. Even I've done aluminum foil as like a reflector, holding up a sheet of it or something. Like you can get creative with it and try different things. Just look up like DIY, like indoor light flash studio things. Like you can really, when you really think outside the box, like if you have a shoestring budget or something, like you can really come up with some creative ways to make photographs indoors. So.
Yeah, for my light, I'm just using a $20 softbox I got off Amazon and an IKEA lamp. So that's it. And it looks decent, as long as you get the exposure right and stuff and have a decent background, you can have a good shot. Just leave it set up and just hit record whenever you want to make content. So.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I'm using like a flashpoint ring light, which I know ring lights are kind of like a joke because they say it's for like makeup tutorials or some crap. People joke about those. But that's what I use. And I had two lamps, the one behind me, and another one off to the side here. And like, yeah, I mean, it's just audio is more important, anyways. I would argue with video. In general, but which is good news. I guess I could briefly talk. I just moved. If any of you haven't noticed, I moved studio. We'll say I'm still in my same house, but like I moved rooms, and this room's so much better because it has carpeted floor. And it's overall a lot smaller than the big living room I was in. So like the audio is going to be so much better from here on out.
Yeah, Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you could probably be more focused in
Good
like
question, though.
a closed off room too. Kind of focus on projects more.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Definitely. Shout out to my brother because he always goes in the kitchen. Like it's funny. I'm not sure if you can hear me from the other room he's in.
The microwave.
But like the earliest, the microwave, man, the microwave haunts me to this day. The mic, it's the loudest thing, and it's funny because now that the and like you want to talk about starting off with like what you have, like listen to our earliest episodes, like the first 15. I kind of got better about muting my mic when he would go in there, but like those earliest episodes, you can hear when there's a microwave, and it like it's like in another room, but like because there's no closing of doors or walls to like block the sound, like you hear dee dee dee, and like it's the worst thing ever.
And the
so
parrot too.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was dealing with. The parrot. Yeah, yeah. So, but then I learned, oh, maybe I should mute my mic, and that way I'm not, if I'm not speaking or whatever, I'm just listening. Like, I'll just do that. But
and then we also had
the
Zencaster Chronicles too. That's a whole nother thing as well.
The dark ages for our show.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you look back on those kind of like times, I guess, and it's like, at least for me, like I laugh at it now, like it's amusing, but like at the time, just like I'm trying to record like the highest quality thing ever, but it's yeah, it's fun, I guess, to look back on that stuff. That's funny. I just remember that of the microwave and the bird.
I mean, I remember like the early microphone I was using, it would like change its volume on its own, so I'd be super loud sometimes, super quiet, and I would frequently, my computer would crash all the time. I mean, it still crashes all the time, but it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, there's so many technical issues that happen with the show, but we pull it together somehow. So
yeah, we sure do, and it's definitely gotten better over the past whatever year and a half it's been.
Yep. I've kind of learned.
It's been a learning experience for both of us.
Yeah, I've kind of learned about audio editing a lot. Like I kind of already knew about video stuff, but like audio, I've been working in like Premiere to like bring up the EQ and like enhance like our voice tones and like get rid of some of that noise. So I hope it sounds better.
And stuff.
Yeah, check all the levels, make sure everything's balanced, because it's hard to balance, because like especially when there's guests, there's two different audios on one track, and then there's me, so I have to balance all that. That can be hard. Even when it's just us two, I got to make sure that's kind of our levels are on the same plane. And that was the nice thing about Zencaster. I kind of had more control over that. But I think we drew the line when we lost Corey Hart. We've had him on now twice, but on our first episode, which that was kind of more natural because it's the first time, we lost it completely because of Zencaster. So after that, we just switched to Google Meet for guests and Discord here for just our solo episodes. It's been a road, definitely. We've used many different softwares, Skype in the beginning.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was decent. I didn't have any problems.
That worked
with
pretty well.
But yeah,
I don't remember it being too big a problem, but we found better things, I think. I guess.
We probably should have stick to Skype over Zencaster at least, but.
Remember how excited we were though? Like Zencaster, this is good. This is good, and
it's good when it works. Yeah.
When it works, yeah. Exactly. Man, that's funny. Yeah, if you want, maybe we could talk about a little bit about what really goes into making this show a little bit. Like, so between the two of us, for anyone doesn't know, I guess we'll divulge these details. But like, since just like the two of us are really creating this and putting this together, I handle more of like the script writing. So like, if it's guests, basically I do some research if they have like videos or photos or a website or any information basically I can gather. I look at all the work. I really kind of like consume it, really think about it for a little while, and then I formulate some questions maybe I'll have or whatever it may be. So I handle more of like the script writing, and then solo topics between the two of us. A lot of those, not to take credit, but like a lot of them are, I think, stuff I just come up with at random.
Yeah.
and I'll write like an episode about that, and we go from there. And I don't know what else. What else do I do really? I sometimes post, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I made the logo
I mean,
that we still have.
you provide so much guests, like you just know so many more people. Like I feel like you're kind of our networking guy too. You really reach out to people. You're able to get them on, and you have a lot more connections. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess script writing and guests and connections.
Yep.
Like people I've met, years in the industry, and it's great having them all on some more. And then you, Henry, you do like everything else with like the pretty much the technological side. I just kind of do the scripts and guests. You do literally, like you just said, the audio, the video, making these clips, put together little segments and stuff. And like basically everything to like the uploading and the creation of like the actual like recording. You handle all that. I just show up and talk.
Well, I wouldn't boil it down to that. You do a lot more than that. But at this point, I mean, I've pretty much got it down to a pretty simple process. I record in OBS. You know, we talk in Discord. I record that call through OBS. And, you know, I'll get the slideshow. You know, Ryan will give me some photos, or the guests will give me some photos. I put that together. That's very simple. It takes me maybe like 5 minutes. It takes a while to export, but, you know, I can just leave that on in the background. And then I'll put that over the audio, just do a little bit of audio editing. And then I'll edit the full podcast. Ryan does the intro too, which is very helpful. He sends that over. I'll put the intro in there. And then I'll just edit the audio. I generally, I don't always listen to the full podcast. I do listen to it always on like twice speed, just because, you know, for time's sake. I still can hear everything, but, you know, I don't have to listen to every, you know, second. You know, I'm still getting every second, but at a faster rate. And I'll cut out the mistakes, because we do make mistakes occasionally. It's gotten a lot better. Like, I don't make a lot of cuts anymore, which is really nice. A lot less work for me, and we're just better at talking, I think, in general.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I'll just put the outro on at the end. I'll export that, and while that's exporting, I got this down to a full process now. So once that's exporting, I'll get the raw audio file back in, and then I'll search through it and find some clips. I do 3 clips a week, so I'll cut those up, put 2 photos over that, 2 or 3 photos. And then export those. And honestly, kind of the longest process, well, I'd say it's probably about equal, is scheduling everything. Getting the clips scheduled and the YouTube scheduled and all the descriptions. Like, I copy and paste over from our document and put it on the description. But that takes quite a bit of time, because there's like a lot of stuff there. I mean, if I sit down and do it, which I do it a lot, where I just sit down and get it done all at once, it's about 3 hours from, you know, sitting down to finishing, which isn't bad, honestly. So it's I like doing it. I enjoy it. You know, for some of when I'm not audio editing, I can have a, you know, video on in the background or something when I'm scheduling and stuff. So it's, you know, it's great. So I really enjoy it.
It's cool because you and I both like we just kind of like figured out our roles with this. Like we really didn't. I don't think we really were like I'll do the script, but like you do the video editing. Like we just kind of like found it on our own, I guess, which is pretty cool. And it's worked for us. Like the 2 of us get it done week after week, so it's pretty great.
Yeah, and we both kind of handle the Instagram. You know, I do the majority of the posts, but you also post quite a bit too. But you do a lot of story interactions, you know, people interactions, all that stuff, which is, you know, very important for a podcast. So yeah, and we've grown that Instagram pretty nicely. I mean, we've got 143 followers now, which is pretty great. And awesome. We didn't necessarily seek out people just to follow us. Like, they found us, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, it's been good. So yeah, I think since it's 9:36, I think we should probably go ahead and go into our images. I've got them into Lightroom here by date, so I guess we'll just go one by one, and if it's your image, you'll just take it, and if it's mine, I'll just take it, if that's all right.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let me make sure get the screen up here.
So basically, we're going to be doing about 12 images each. So I think we're doing. I don't know. I select at least one from each month. I don't know about you.
Yes, I did. Yep.
Oh, okay. Cool. And I mean, it's hard choosing favorites, but mostly you can relate if you take photos. So I just kind of choose a few that were like, I just thought were good photos on their own. Maybe they didn't have some compelling story, but like some of them might have really, I think, good stories or cool, neat things that happen with them. Other ones, it's just kind of like, it's a cool image. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let me change one thing on OBS real quick. Let's see. Okay, there we go.
Are you gonna go full screen with that?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, okay.
I'm just making sure the YouTube can see it. All right, so I think this is yours first up.
Yep. So yeah, this is a downy woodpecker. It's a male one. You can tell by the red on the back of its head. And I was actually with Kyle Owen. Shout out to Kyle. He was a guest on our show earlier this year, and I've gone out shooting with him plenty of times. And we were both at a local nature preserve. This is in January, if I haven't mentioned that. So it started this year, about a year ago, almost now. And yeah, him and I was taking him out there. I don't think he'd ever been out to the place we're at. And there's some bird feeders set up in this like little nature center building. And so we're just like, we stood by that with our, gear. I think we just had our just big telephotos slung over ourselves, doing birds that day, binoculars and everything. And yeah, so we were just watching. I mean, we spent like a good probably almost a solid hour, honestly, just like staking out this spot. And I mean, like the birds were right on top of us because they're all, in winter desperate to feed. And so we were pretty much real close. And I don't know, I forget what the XF data is on the, like what focal length I was at, but I mean, I think it was less than 600 or whatever. And yeah, just shooting just different birds, chickadees, white-breasted nuthatch, cardinals, maybe juncos, since it was winter, just anything like that. And there's this downy right, and basically this nature preserve has like it's like lots of rocky habitat and everything. And this is on like the side of the building, like where the foundation meets, basically. Perched, I just like lined it up perfectly. I was already in vertical, and just like focused around the eye, of course. And I got a shot of it looking basically to the other side. But I prefer this one where it's actually looking like across its body that way. But I got both shots and it was perfectly exposed, sharpened. Like this is like my ideal bird shot that so desperate to get, but like it doesn't always happen. I was really excited about. So that's pretty much all there is with that. So just a really solid bird portrait that I always am seeking after, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's a great shot. It's nice and frame filling, and it's interesting, like the rocky environment. You don't see that often for woodpeckers, so it's really great.
Yeah, I think that's what drew it to me. Not only like the shot itself and the bird, but like definitely that backdrop and the perch. It's like a natural perch, but like it's definitely unlike like you'd imagine a woodpecker being on a tree, but this one was almost down near the ground basically, and was like on this rock, just clinging onto the side of it. So it was definitely a very different shot, and plus that pleasant overcast light of winter, just really complimented overall. So yeah, that's one of my favorite images of this year easily. It's a great way to start off the year. I think that's one of the first images I took this year that I got really like excited about. Even like on the back of the camera, being like, this one's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much it with that.
Cool. All right, so can you see the next one?
Yes.
Okay. So next up, thank you. So this is taken in just a local park. Taken in January, I believe. And I think Louisville only got 1 day of snow. So I'm going to be honest, it was online school, so I just left my classes and I said I'm going to go out and shoot. It was a different time, height of COVID. So I had to get out into the snow. This is just a local park, just a couple miles from my house. I believe I drove down here, and I set up my camera. And this creek in the summer is very undesirable, very kind of ugly, with just some, it's not great. But in the winter, you got that nice soft sky, the snow covering the branches, and it just was a really cool landscape, and it just kind of presented itself. It's wide angle, It doesn't have necessarily a foreground element, but it's got like the leading line of the lake of the creek and the reflection. So I really liked it.
Awesome, man. That is a great shot. I love the fresh snow, like look to it. You just got all those tree limbs and stuff lining with snow and everything. I think what makes it for me is that blue sky, and it gets mirrored in the water too. So that's awesome. That's a great
Thank
shot.
you. Thanks. I am just noticing one error. However, though, this pole, I forgot to remove it. I need to go back and remove that. I never noticed that until now, and I've used this image for a lot of things, but it's interesting.
Huh. Whoops. I didn't even notice that until you said it, honestly, because it blends in. Like, if it was summer and that pole was there, you'd be like, oh, that thing's got to go. That's funny.
Yeah. And
that's a great shot, though.
I believe the next one here is actually taken on the same day, and this is another one of my 12, just because of how much I like it. So this is a white-tailed deer in the snow, and these are the same white-tailed deer I work with quite a bit, just down in my local park. And this is probably just taken feet away from where that other image was taken, and just kind of very different. Beautiful snowy environments. You got that tree kind of framing the deer. It's pretty messy with the sticks, but I think it's one of the few situations that actually works for me, because I found kind of a window there, and just kind of one of my favorite deer shots. So.
Yeah, I definitely see that now with the tree there. It definitely frames it well. But yeah, I think it adds to it, the chaos of it a little bit more. It feels more intense, I'll say.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think without the snow, it wouldn't work as well. Like it would just be kind of more of a documentary shots, but I think it works with the snow.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the other like fawn or whatever off to the side with the doe. You basically just see the ears and like one eyelid.
Yeah,
it's a nice touch too. Just out of focus too.
And it's pretty crazy. Right after this, I had a pretty dangerous experience with these deer. There were about 12. You can't see them. You only see 2. And I wasn't bothering the deer. I kept my distance. This is pretty cropped in too. But not a sheepdog, but like it looked like a sheepdog. I think it's actually called sheepdog, the breed. It was in the park. Some lady was walking it. And you're supposed to have a leash, but she didn't. And this dog chased after this pack of about 12 deer. And they all came bounding towards me directly. So I actually had to leave my camera on the tripod and run away, because they would have like seriously injured me, if not, killed me. So it's kind of a mixed emotions on the shot too. So watch out for that. If there's dogs in the area, but it's definitely a cool story behind it. So
you live to tell the tale. Yeah, I encounter that so much at parks. Is like people just without leashes on dogs, and like I can't count how many times I see like dog running ahead on the trail in the opposite direction, and I'm like, yeah, I just stop in my tracks. You're supposed to be just calm and still, because I'm like, I don't know if there's any if you're just running around. Like, there's been too many times I've almost been chased by a dog, and I'm like, they've never bitten me, but like, you don't know where it's going or where it's from, like, and it's like, yeah, I don't blame you. That's a scary moment.
I'm sorry about the date order here. I'm sure we'll have one of yours next here.
It's fine. These are great shots.
Thank you. This is taken in February, I believe. It's an interesting place that this was taken. This is just taken right by a golf course. I find that golf courses can have really good birds, and this is just one of my favorite little trails by there. And this hawk landed basically right in front of me, and I just seized the moment. He was just there for a couple seconds, and I got this shot, just kind of a standard, portrait. But I like the blue sky. I don't often like it, but I think it works with this, with kind of the sticks back there. And yeah, it's kind of my closest shot of a raptor I've gotten so far. So
it's a solid, bird portrait. I like the green too behind it. It's nice, subtle, but like it's just kind of adds to the earthy kind of feel to it too.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice even light on it as well. It's like solidly lit. Like in most trees and woodland, or I guess golf course is a little more sparse, but like you'd imagine like birds being in shadow, but like this one's just kind of like more just kind of out in the open and everything.
Yeah, and this was midday too, which I was pretty lucky to get the right angle of light and the right amount. So
yeah, meter for it and everything. Yeah, golf courses are great, man. I just got my life for a red-breasted nuthatch at a golf course.
Oh, nice.
like,
Yeah.
what is this? You know,
Uh-huh.
cool, man.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, here. We'll go to one of yours real quick and then we'll go back to that one.
No, it's fun.
No, we're good.
This is
We're having
okay. So this is February for me. I went to a local nature preserve. It's not really like a nature preserve. It's like a little like loop trail along a creek here. And this one's called Old Town Creek, named after a now like disappeared almost like it's basically with Native Americans and other stuff is where it's got its name or something, early inhabitants. Anyways, so this is like a little creek. Pretty simple shot. I just want to try some long exposure because that whole winter I didn't try any, and it was like I said, February this year, and I was like just eager to like try it, slow down that shutter and just try it again. And so the composition's not crazy. It's not anything I haven't done before, but like I do like it enough where I'm just off the creek side, because the snow was melting I think that day, and it was actually a pretty warm day. I think it was like 40, 50 degrees. So it really felt like a first proper spring day of this year, or for the season that is. And I didn't have wader boots on, so I just took this from the side, as you can probably tell by like the top down view of it. Fairly wide creek too. But I think the part that adds it, that makes it for me, I'll say, is I use neutral density filter to really slow down that water in there and drag it farther because it was pretty loud and flowing, albeit pretty shallow, as you can tell here. But I also like the inclusion of this little driftwood or whatever off to the edge there. That's just like collected on the side of the creek there. And I just think it's neat where it's kind of like pointing in the direction the water's flowing. So that's like the one little element or detail that like I added there. That I was like, this makes it a little different enough that I like it on its own.
Mm-hmm. And also the rocks are pointing too. Kind of the triangular rocks are all pointing in the water flow direction as well, which is very great too.
Yeah, good point actually. Yeah, and I see that. I guess it's just with the water carving that way,
Yeah.
like erosion basically. So that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, just a simple but effective shot. It was good even light that day too. So like I didn't have to worry about highlights blown out in the like the brighter white parts of the water.
Yeah, I love this shot. I mean, this is one of my favorites of
Thank
yours
you.
from this year. Like honestly, it's very great. I think the log at the bottom, like you said, the line pointing with the water flow, it's perfect. I love the moss detail there, and I think the shutter speed. I don't know how much experimenting you did, but I think you got it perfect. Like, there's a perfect amount of flow and water. You're showing the rocks up at the top, and then at the bottom where it's getting faster, you get kind of that wispy look. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. So, great job. I think it's great.
I guess it's also the meeting of the water too with that like the branch or whatever, and it kind of like converges and it just kind of leaves juts out the frame too. But feels I love. I guess I'm really the same perspective with that tree too. So yeah.
So like, what do you mean by eye level? Like shooting straight across, or
If it was in the creek, like actually in it, like you wouldn't be able to tell that tree branch would be like pointing, so to speak. So like that top down view, now I'm looking at it again. Honestly, I haven't looked at this image since I took it like in February and edited, of course. So I guess it's the neat part about doing this right now is like looking at these old images. But yeah, now I'm looking at it again, I'm like, you couldn't get that same perspective, I guess, composition with it, otherwise.
Mm-hmm. It's really sharp too, as well. I think you nailed the focus. So
Thank you. I probably bracketed it, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised.
exposure
It's
or
pretty much all there is to
focus
that one.
bracketed. Oh, okay, cool, nice. All right.
Wait. Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, so
What's
I'm
going
not
on
sure.
here?
I edited this a bit more. I'm not sure why the edits aren't showing up, but yeah, this is a chickadee taken up in Michigan last winter in February, I believe. Just kind of speaks winter to me with the red plants and the snow white sky. And yeah, the chickadee, if you notice, it has a little morsel that it's probably about to eat, in its claws. So yeah, just kind of a cool shot.
Simple but effective. I like the red, funny looking branches it's on. Like the red and white kind of is like nice contrast too.
Yeah, and I think it's usually you don't want white sky, but I think it works here. Yeah.
Chickies are so cute, man.
I know.
Love
Yeah.
them.
This guy got so
Yeah.
close. So.
And it's nicely that one framed to like with the two like dominant horizontal lines too.
Yeah.
He did it real well.
Thank you. All right, so this one, this actually, I love this image. It's probably my favorite wildlife image of the year. It's actually hanging on my wall. This is taken up in Fripp Island. So I have a family member that lives up there. So I stayed with her for spring break, and I did a ton of bird photography, ton of landscapes, and I found an egret rookery. I was lucky enough to find one, so I was able to work with them for like an hour. And get some great shots. And I really like this one, just kind of the formation of the three egrets. I think the lighting, it was kind of early morning light, so it was very conducive to the green. Brought out that green, and I just really like it. And it's got those tropical plants as well. So.
Yeah, I remember when you posted this one. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I just love the bouncing back and forth, like that playful composition on this. Also, the egrets and that breeding plumage, that green too. That's like it's neat because it kind of like provides like a sense of place with them too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such a great shot, and the selective focus is cool too, and everything with it. So, yeah, great stuff, man.
Yeah, I love working in these like tropical areas. It's very unique. I see these birds in Louisville, but it's just different when you get them on there, the native plants and. Kind of the environment they're naturally in most times of the year. I'm pretty excited actually. Next year, I'm going to be going up to Florida or down to Florida. I'll be able to get similar species like this, work with that again. So I'm excited. Like when I did this is kind of my first trip where I focused a lot on wildlife, and since then I've kind of grown a lot in my skills. So I'm looking forward to. Adding some more egret and other shots to my portfolio.
Yeah, nice space in between the subjects too.
Thank you. All right.
Blood. So this is March. I bet most outdoor photographers would agree, but like springtime's probably like the best time of the year. If I had to choose one season, I would say spring, especially early spring. So March is really when things ramp up. Photo taking, because like it's basically like this timetable of all these different, mainly wildflowers, but also some birds and just everything. You start getting tree buds, the leaves come back, and everything slowly. But you start get these frosty in the fire the sun, hopefully at sunrise. Anyways, so this is like early sunrise day. You can tell by the kind of backlit, almost like tropical bouquet a little bit. So there's lots of this like sunrise light, basically golden hour light behind it. And this is a bloodroot flower, named because if you cut it or something like that, I think cut the stem, it produces this like a red, very vibrant like scarlet red color that's almost like reminiscent of blood. But anyways, this is when it's furled up because these flowers apparently day in and day out to like their short lifespan because they're ephemeral flowers in spring. So that means only around until the tree canopy and the leaves fully, I guess, come out and grow, and they get shadowed by it, and they just basically retreat to the ground until next spring. So this bloodroot, they basically close up their petals and then reopen them every morning. So this is actually just before I did it, basically, and it was still like pretty frosty out, but it was starting to warm up. It's a little bit different. I got the top-down view of these bloodroot previously, and it's one of my favorite flowers overall. But this was different because I did it at eye level, and I did it of just like the flower portal, and so it's a little bit different. And to identify it's a little bit trickier if you don't know what to look for, because you might not know what it is. But yeah, it's one of my favorite images this year. I just love the pastoral colors of it and the warmth of it. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, man, this is great, amazing, like 10 out of 10. I mean, I'm serious. It's great. Like the background, first of all, like wow, that's an exceptional background. You angled yourself well. You got the nice separation. Those colors are great. You can tell it's natural too. You can tell you didn't crank everything up. You could tell it's really just kind of a natural shot. I really like the the white balance too. Like it brings out the purples in the flower, but also shows kind of that cooler early spring tone. You said this was early spring, right? Kind of like the March
It's March
season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it really kind of shows that off. Perfect focus too. I know it's really hard for flowers. Did you focus stack this one, or is this just one focus point?
No, it was not focus stacked. It was just macro, basically extension tube. I think it was probably almost 500 millimeters, like a course. And then next to Gitsa tripods, I basically got down on the ground level. Like it was basically just legs spread out flat and doing all that.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Great work.
Something different. Yeah. Thank you.
So this shot here, this is actually taken on my grandparents' property up in Ohio. They've got this pretty cool forest, and I got up early one morning, and it was a foggy morning. And I like fog a lot. It's kind of been a running joke. And I had to capitalize on it. So I ventured out in this forest, and I really like these. I don't know if they're fern. I don't think they're ferns, but these plants in the foreground provided some nice depth. And then I kind of focused on these two trees, along with these yellow buds on the leaves. And it's just a really cool shot. I like the foggy atmosphere. Just kind of, it's simple, but it's definitely one of my favorite woodland shots from this year. So
I like how the fog's not overwhelmingly like this is a fog photo. Like you really have to kind of look at it a little bit more and look in the background. But I just love the little pink hues of the clouds too up above, and they got the foreground element with those are mayaples, I believe. Yeah, it looks like mayaples. If that was spring. And those are cool because the big flat like leaves. I think they bear fruits later on, in, like mid spring. It's like I think it's like a big white fruit underneath the. But those things dominate the woodland are like full from March over everything. And I think parts of May. It's around for a long while, I think. But yeah, man, that's a great shot. Great focal length and just the depth of everything. Like you really see. I mean, you got like I said, the mayaples, the trees, the fog, the clouds. Did you say you focus stack that?
Yeah, I did. I did 3 shots, so 3 focus stacks. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
The crooked tree too in the middle.
Oh yeah, yeah. So this is a really old forest too. It's kind of been in our family for like 4 generations. So, yeah, it's great to be able to capture it. So,
it's awesome. Now, likewise, this was actually focus stack too. Something I've been trying to do a little bit more, but I was just doing a quick little walkabout. I was actually there for I think birds. No, left it in the car. I can't remember. I should have done it. I think I regret doing it because I should have went to this little. It's like a little bike path, kind of connector park. Does that make sense? So they basically like a lot of dog walkers, cyclists, and all that stuff. But I was just taking a walk and just photographing whatever. And first time at this place, by the way. But like found these little ferns off on this like breakaway trail that went to like a neighborhood. That was like neighbor basically the bike. This small, less than probably like a quarter of a football field length. Like it was not big, few 50 feet or whatever, less than that. And there these ferns just this and what it was. And I just did this top-down macro view of them. And it's a shot that I always wanted to kind of do because I feel like it emanates like Ansel Adams a little bit and stuff like that. And I think I have another shot I shared with you, Henry, that's black and white as well. If you have that one.
Is it of the same subject? Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And so yeah, I go back. If you follow my work at all, and me rambling about anything, I always go back and forth the color black and white. I don't know. I feel like I like the black and white a little bit more with this, but either way, I still enjoy it. It's just a nice kind of everything. I don't know, pattern shot, I guess. Focus stack, that is.
I personally think the color's better, just because of the background. because I kind of like that red tone in that one part, and then you can kind of see the distant green as well. But I think both are great. It's really unique. Like, was this? I'm kind of confused. Like, how did you get the background to be that far away on a subject like this?
So I was basically at my height, like on a tripod, of course, but I had it top down. And I think combined with the extension tube, once again, and telephoto lens, basically like allowed me to zoom in more than I could with like just the telephoto lens alone. But like all if that makes sense, like the lens, the zoom lens, like the focus, and I wish I knew what the EXIF data was off the top of my head, but like it was probably a pretty wide aperture, of course, and then um, it just all contributed to basically. And then when I focus stacked it, I only did like, if you can kind of tell with the firm plants, like the little things here, it's like there are different varying levels. So I think I focus stacked it maybe 2, maybe 3 times just to get everything sharp. So, but I didn't focus obviously on the background behind it. So I think all of that just combined really just provide the depth there. Um, maybe that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But now I think when I initially edited them, I like the black and white more. But now I think color's more style. Looking back
Okay,
at it now.
yeah, and the blue reflections on the plants too, it adds a lot as well.
Yeah, it was pretty well in shadow too. It's like almost like a tree, kind of like bush tunnel. I mean, it was like shadow light, like morning. Basically, you had to use a slower shutter, but luckily it was a pretty windless day, if I recall. So like, I didn't have to worry about the subject shaking, of course, unless if I bumped it by accident.
Awesome.
But that's pretty much it for that.
Oh, I remember these guys.
No way. So the Brood 10 cicadas. So this was taken around June. I think June. This is like late June. This is like one of the last days of June. But like from May to June was like peak time for these bad boys right here, as we all know. And so I went to like this little, it's like fancy neighborhood, but they had this little memorial garden. First time there, and I'll do some macro hours. But I ended up taking a lot of guys. There's so many in this neighborhood. It was like, deafening the whole time I was there. And this becomes some of my favorite shots, honestly, the whole time I was there for a couple hours in the evening. Because they're just so approachable. I mean, they would fly on my like leg, of course, and my shoes, like that. And yeah, it was just fun. It was just fun. They really don't care. I would get in their face with the camera and the macro lens, and just take some shots of them. So, and I did it at the shells as well, that they leave behind, which was kind of gross because they kept crunching underneath my shoes as I was walking along too. Well,
Wow. Yeah,
because they
great
were
shot.
everywhere in this little garden. Yeah, but I mean that's pretty much all it was to that. So it was just fun to take this timely kind of nature event, photograph it, almost document it. We'll say.
Awesome. So this is one of the few kind of urban ones I did. This is taken in San Francisco. It's called Corona Heights. So it's like this little mountain in the middle of a neighborhood. And the person I was staying with, my uncle, he lives right by this little mountain. So I got up early. I think it was 5 a.m. and I climbed this mountain. And the city was perfectly silhouetted with the sun behind it. I used my telephoto lens. I think that's back when I had like my 24 to 240. So I went out at 240 and I got this shot. A nice silhouette. That's the sun over the San Francisco Bay there. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. Voice crack, of course. But yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I also did a panorama too of the same scene. Didn't turn out quite as well because I didn't level it. But yeah, I really worked with it for a while.
That's awesome. I love how you lined up the sun with like this. My eye keeps going to that on the really prominent, like it's like the darkest building on that right side. It's like casting a shadow because the sun's lined up with it.
Oh yeah.
This is cool, man. It's a vibe, it's just such a you just look at it and go like, man, that's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just kind of
That's awesome.
it's very like it makes me remember the trip, which I like because I spent a lot of time in the city. Maybe not, I didn't get the best photographs like when I was in it, but kind of this nice overall view just really makes me remember the trip. So, yeah.
The color alone is amazing.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Here's another one from that same trip. And this is probably my favorite landscape of 2021. So this is taken in Yosemite National Park. I mean, just a beautiful national park. Like I have no words for how beautiful it was. I mean, I was shooting all day long. Getting up early, staying up late, and I captured the famous shots. I got the tunnel view and the glacier point. But I really liked working with these unique scenes that are unique to me. So I was just driving. Me and my family were driving down the Yosemite Road. We stayed pretty far out of the valley, so about 30 minutes out of the park. We were in the park still, actually, but about 30 minutes out from the main action. And while we were driving, it was sunset, so I was looking for a place to shoot. And this tree really caught my eye. It kind of it had these layers of mountains behind it. And when I zoomed in, it really came to life because it kind of compressed those layers. You got those trees with the leaves, the green leaves, and then you've got this dead tree. And it really just reminds me of Yosemite, and I really like it. So.
Yeah, I just like the really like obvious rule of thirds, but like it really works, I think, because it just like it's almost different at the same time. You know what I mean? You just really have this tree off to the side, and that, like you said, with the telephoto compressing that distance too, really just kind of pulls you into it like immediately.
Yeah.
It's really that.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Mountain range and everything. Once again, the depth of it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of the sad thing behind this image too. Shortly after I left, this part of Yosemite Park was ravaged by wildfires. So this shot is probably not there if I went back. So, definitely, if something catches your mind or catches your eye, I would definitely go out and photograph it.
Yeah, that's a cool part about nature. It's always changing. So like these timelines.
Yeah.
If a wildfire, changes the landscape, like stuff like that happens often. So I took this for an exhibit. So I went to this local wetland, and this is like some evening light. I basically had like an hour or two, like an hour and a half, something like that, of daylight. So it's pretty short. So a little bit of a time crunch, but I was just taking shots of like golden hour light as it was glistening through all the trees and everything. And then prominently on this left side is like an ash tree, which is a dying breed here in Ohio because the emerald ash borer, of course. But it's just a simple basically. I definitely like to do these kind of like almost like your last shot, Henry, where it's like just a telephoto, but like you have it off to the side in roll thirds. I do this a lot with trees like this. But what makes it for me is just all that golden hour light just hitting right through it too. Something simple but effective, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It really captures summer for me. And I think you got the exposure perfect. It can be hard to get both the shadow and the light details, but you pulled it off. Like there's enough detail in the tree, and then those highlights aren't too bright either. So great job on that. It's a very busy image, but I think it works because you still have a distinct subject. So great job on that.
Thank you.
So this one, this is taken up in Michigan, on one of my favorite beaches. Very early morning. You might be able to tell, but it's a bit noisy of an image. But it was, I think, so in Michigan, I would have to get up to get to the locations. I'd have to get up about 4:45, and drive out for sunrise. But this is actually taken before the sun rose. So I was just walking down the beach, and I heard the sound of some kind of shorebird. I didn't know which one. And then I found this spotted sandpiper. There was actually a nest, and I was able to watch it for a while. It hopped up on this log, and I got this shot here. I really like the sandpiper, obviously, but I also like kind of the pine tree next to him, that baby pine tree, and then kind of just the forest environment, because you don't see shorebirds in that environment a lot. So I think it's pretty unique in that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's no trace of water in this scene too, which is really neat. So it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty atypical or
Yeah.
unusual, I'll say.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a great shot. You got it like well composed, or it's off to the side, but looking that way to the right. All focus on that eye, and there's like a little bit of like a reflection, almost like a catch light in the eye too, which adds like some dimension to it. But like I agree, it's that pine, I think the pine needles and everything that that tree trunk, and the lichen too. I just really all these green tones.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a great shot, man. It's a really
Thank
good
you.
shot.
Here's another foggy Michigan one. This is a red-winged blackbird. And these red-winged blackbirds, up in the summer in Michigan, are about as prominent as like a robin is in spring in like Ohio and Kentucky. So I really got to work a lot with them. And I was able to get this guy on top of this beautiful tree. And then I got the color on the blackbird. But besides that, there's no other detail. And I got him calling. I took a lot of images waiting for that call. And I got it. Kind of with a vertical composition, a nice blue tone. I really like this. It's kind of a combination of landscape and wildlife. So just one of my favorites, definitely.
Was this one of the first time you tried the small and frame with a bird, like intentionally?
Yeah, I think that's kind of when I was really starting to kind of intentionally do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it worked, definitely. And the fog definitely adds this atmosphere to the shot too. And I like how the mouth opened, like really caught a good moment there.
Thanks. Yeah. Ooh, wow. That's amazing. Just
I was
right off
almost
the
gonna
bat.
choose a different. Thanks. I was gonna choose a different shot for this July. It's like, nope, I need to do this one. I was gonna do this hay bale sunset one, but I'm like, it's more interesting story. We'll say. So I think this is in Dayton, Ohio. They have during pretty much all of summer. They have these because basically five rivers converge near Dayton, the city of Dayton, and so if you count, there's five fountains that shoot off the water here and arc it, and there's the center one that shoots out as well. But so basically, they're representing the five rivers that meet there. And this is like directly in the heart of like the downtown district, and that path for the river, the Great Main River, that is. If you look off to the far right side, where the one fountain is, that's where actually I started for the day. So there's a little like Metro Park there, and then I basically parked my car and crossed this bridge over the river that's out of frame on the right, and then it just like went up this hill, and so it shoots off every hour, like on the hour for I think it's about 5 minutes. So it's pretty cool. So you get lots of opportunity right in the summertime, the warmer time of the year, and this year I was really dead set up long exposure. My segment, it was a little more cropped in. Like I don't think you saw that left side fountain, but and then also the arc, bit of the arc got cut off and cropped out. So I was a little bummed out, but the sunset looked about the same as it does here, which I took this about I think a week later. But this second time I nailed it, at least for what I was going after. You got the foreground fountain there, and it's just shooting all the dimension and depth of it. It's a panorama, which I mean you kind of tell the fisheye angle a little bit, so it does kind of distort it a little bit, but overall, I'm impressed. Technical, I guess, kind of mastery of it, because it's definitely, for me at least, was a tough shot to pull off doing a panorama and having to time it and only having like 5 minutes at sunset. So I had like all these different variables, and this is probably one of the shots this year that I really had to plan out well, because to pull it off you really have to time it right. But I enjoyed it. It was a really fun learning experience too for editing.
Yeah, I think it's great. You got the good water flow, great color in the sky, great lighting, great exposure, just perfect image, pretty much. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll try to go through these last couple here kind of quickly, because it is 10:15. But this year, this is an egret, a group of egrets taken in Louisville. in August, I believe. And just kind of the smaller in frame here. I laid down, got this green and yellow in the foreground, and then this group of egrets. I really like this shot. It's just kind of it showcases the environments, the sheer amount of egrets, and yeah, I really love it.
Foreground blur, excuse me, really adds a nice kind of like creeping into the scene a little bit more, and it like kind of like slivers out your view, I guess, of the birds itself. But I don't know, it just works. Plus with the background greenery too.
Thank you. Yeah, and this is one of my 2 waterfowl spots also. So in the fall, it's completely transformed. So it's kind of cool to see how it's different throughout the year.
That's a neat thing about it, is it just it's changing, habitats change, and you get to see it unfold throughout the year. It's never a dull moment, really.
Yep.
But yeah, great shot. Great shot. All right, so back to Dayton. So this is in August. I think it's like the end of August. So you start to see the little paler, I guess, of the trees as it starting to change color. Very briefly though. It was still August for what it's worth, but trees are getting duller. But I wanted to go do this little shot right after work. So place above the city, you get this nice sweeping panoramic view as you can see. But this was not a panorama itself. But I tried something different using my 16-35 f4, and I wanted to incorporate these 3 pillars where this overlook, like this observation tower is. And so it's something different where I had the city basically way out in the background, but it has some foreground element added to there. If you go on the mid ground downhill, actually a cemetery, very famous cemetery, and there's some tombstones, but so it kind of just leads your eye down there and all the way out to the other side. And it was perfect lighting day, so lots of huge clouds. And it was a really late afternoon day, so it worked out for what I was going for.
Right. Yeah, it's a great shot. The foreground, kind of the 3 pillars, kind of centers everything. Then you got the skyline. And it's midday, but the lighting works. You've got a good exposure. Yeah, overall, great job here.
Thank you. Ooh. So this is September. Yep. You could tell from a mile away. Yeah, so as everyone probably knows, I did the 3-day Hocking Hills trip. First time there. So this is actually something a little bit different because, I did lots of the big postcard shots, waterfalls and everything there. But this is something a little bit different. This was on the 3rd day, and it was the only day that I had some like actual overcast light. The first 2 days it was just like sun all day. So it was a lot tougher to photograph, even in the shade of the woodland. But this is when it really got like a lot cloudier on that 3rd day, about midday. And I was trying to basically have down shots I wanted for the trip, and I was just having fun and just hiking around to any trails I hadn't seen yet. And this was along I think towards, I want to say the Whispering Cave. Old Man's Cave's off to the side here, but this is basically just a simple scene with all the greenery of late summer, very being early fall, as you can see the leaves falling around it, but still lots of greenery with all those coniferous trees around me. But I just want to incorporate this prominent rock line as it kind of like leads you from the left diagonally across the frame out to the back. And yeah, just basically a simple scene. Used a polarizer to put on a little bit of the dimmer on the reflection there, but I still wanted enough there to put some shine on it. And then I bracketed the shot to expose for shadow and highlights because it was a little bit dark in there with all the shadow. But I guess basically surrounded by a bunch of rock, as you can see.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like I said at the beginning, it really represents Hocking Hills. I like the exposure. Like you didn't try to put light there that wasn't there. Like you left some good shadows, but you still left it bright enough to where you can still see the details. So great job. I love the green as well, and yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh, nice.
All right, what are we looking at?
Ohio Caverns, I would guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned way back at the beginning. I know it's been over a couple hours now, but caverns for the first time in October. I actually went twice, that is. But this first trip, I really was like focused on the photography mainly. And yeah, so it was really cool. Shooting handheld too in the dark was a little bit tougher. So I guess as we talked about earlier with indoor light, but the it's basically all this light. I brought a flash, but I used them because they have these different lights positioned at different stalactites and stalagmites, and they create these really like ghostly, hollow-looking shapes. It's really creepy looking stuff, especially when you convert them to black and white, which I believe I did send one to you, Henry. But yeah, yeah. It's just weird. They're all naturally formed, crystals and everything, and just watching, just these caves and caverns. I don't know, they're beautiful, at least. For anyone that's in Ohio, I'd recommend it. It's not too far off. It's in between Dayton and Columbus, so that's not too far away. But it was well worth the almost an hour trip to there. And some natural history and everything like that. Really enjoyed visiting there.
Yeah, I think it's something different, which is cool, and it is still nature photography. Caves are part of our
Yeah.
natural world, and I think it's kind of undershot. So, great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so this is taken in October, and I can't really say much. It's just I had an elk encounter, about 20 elk, and this male came pretty close. I was able to get this frame filling portrait with some fall color behind him. I just love this shot. Probably my favorite shot of the year, if I'm being honest. I got the focus right, which is pretty rare in my camera, if I'm being honest. So I was happy about that. And it's just kind of all came together. So
It still captures the moment, which is it's awesome to say the least. So it's very evocative. I'll say the pose, the face brush, you framed it pretty well because most people would work against cropping out elements or parts of the body, but like I feel like it works with this case. Which is big advantage too.
yeah, thank you. Oh,
Carillon lights.
yeah.
Ooh,
So,
oh,
my bad.
what was?
Uh,
You're
so
good.
we got.
You're on it.
Yep.
Okay. So this is just this past November. It was like the day before Thanksgiving actually, and I'm gonna try something once again. As you can tell, it's evident from this year. Trying something different, but still outdoors. So it's nighttime, as you can see, obviously, and they have cone shaped lights that they string basically in make crazy Christmas tree basically. And so I took some shots, the postcard shots once the outside, just facing it basically parallel, or excuse me, eye level. But there's a singular walkway where you can go up to the base of it, and this is really the shots I was most excited about getting because it was just something that was really kind of dizzying with it, and just the vanishing point. And once again, I'll use abstract to say it, but yeah, just something that's very different. Then you have the light to it, focus on the darkness of the night, but also the white, early white of the color of the lights, then also this bell top.
Yeah, awesome. I think it really represents Christmas. Yeah, it's a very interesting perspective looking up like that. Also, kind of makes you wonder, kind of like how you got into the lights in the first place, which is cool. So it kind of makes you think. And yeah, great shot.
Thank you.
And I believe this is our final one here. And is this a starling?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So I mean, we're still halfway through December, so like, so far this is my favorite image, but it's been pretty slow December, to say the least for me. But I've been doing lots of birding, and this is the best shot I could get. Invasive species at that, but like this is my best shot of a starling I've gotten ever, so I'm happy with it. Um, Not too much to say with it. I was just hiking around, taking a walk through a park I'd never been to before. This is the day I got my lifer and the red-breasted nuthatch, but I was making my way later on, and I was pretty much almost giving up. Like I was almost like it's getting to be bright, full sun, stuff, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get a shot at all today. Like, there's nothing, none of these birds are getting close to me. I'm hearing them, I'm seeing them, but they're all kind of like eluding my camera. And there's this starling, and you can kind of put it in perspective, but it was way up in the tree, like very high up. But I was desperate, so I zoomed in, kind of like posed a little bit, and kind of slowly kind of inched forward with my hand. That's the best I could do, where it's kind of spaced apart from the tree branches and twigs and all that stuff. But I still like it. I still think it's great, especially with the sunlight on it. Reveals the iridescent feathers and everything, plumage.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like the sunlight really brings out everything. I like the branches too. I think they're great. Kind of the nice perch and the rule of thirds offset there. So great job. Yeah, probably the best shot of a starling I've seen. So great work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Photograph him but anyways, so yeah, that's it. Wow, 2.5.
Yeah, I think let's see. Let me switch back over to our faces here. Why isn't my camera working? Oh no. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so I think that pretty much wraps up the live stream. It's been great. I've had a great time.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, it's great on the Noah. Got lots of people asking questions, which is great. Yeah, and overall the cedar was great for the show.
Yeah. And like we said, we'll have one episode next week with Bayou Josh. You guys should enjoy that one. And then we'll take a break, and we'll be back with more content for the new year. So,
yeah, look forward to seeing you then.
And we'll be starting season 3. So, look forward to that. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.